Hello students, welcome to Samveda e-learning program class 6 science chapter 9 living organisms, characteristics and habitats. Let's move on to a beautiful living world and let's study their characteristics and habitats. Dear students, look at this picture. You are seeing some animals are grazing in the forest. A rat is sitting in the burrow, a camel in a desert, some birds, cranes in a pond and a lake, a bear with his babies in a polar region, different varieties of fishes in a sea. What all this shows? So, this shows that there are different types of climatic places, isn't it? All these places are different from each other. That means a desert is different from a forest, is different from a sea, that is different from a polar regions. Some were cold, some were hot and dry, and some places are so humid. All of them had many organisms, say living creatures of various kinds. Do you think all these varieties of animals have similar features, similar body structures? So, we find varieties of living creatures inside a home. Are you sure? Yes. If you go to your home, you will find many creatures, small living organisms inside your home. What are they? A housefly, different types of ants, a centipede, cockroach, mosquito, spiders, isn't it? These living creatures you see inside your home. And also, we find living creatures outside the home. Example, some beetles, dragonflies, what is that? Crickets, millipedes, some varieties of insects, honeybees, etc. So, not only this, we find many different varieties of living creatures outside the home. And also, we can see a tiny living creatures near the opening of volcanoes, where we find lava with hot temperatures. In that place also, we find some living creatures. See, look at the picture. Camel in a desert, crabs on beach, varieties of fishes in a sea. So, by observing these pictures, now I will give you an activity for you. Let us start with a forest. Think of all types of plants, animals and objects that can be found there. List things, animals and plants found in the other regions that are shown in the table. The table, what kind of objects will we find that may not be animals or plants? That means we find dried leaves or parts of animals or like bones, etc. We may also find different kinds of soil and pebbles now. So, now fill this table, that is in the forest. What do you see in the forest? Other than plants and animals, on the mountain, in the desert, in the sea, other objects. So, what are you seeing in the forest? What type of birds you are seeing and what are the non-living things are seeing? Just go on listing in this table. Okay. Next, let us discuss habitat and adaptation. Students, these are the two main things which is very essential for a living creature to survive on this earth. In the sea, plants and animals are surrounded by saline, means salty water. You know that taste of sea water is salty. But in that places, we find varieties of plants and animals. Most of them use the air dissolved in water. So, they will breathe air which is dissolved in the water. You know what is the gas used by animals for breathing? Yes, that is oxygen. So there are very little water available in the desert. It is very hot in the daytime and very cold at night in the desert. The animals and plants of the desert live on the desert soil, breathe air from the surrounding. In the sea, animals breathe air which is dissolved in the water. But here, animals and plants are breathing the air which is available in the surrounding. So, what is the difference between these two? One is the camel in the desert and other one is plants and fishes in a sea. Do you think both of them have similar feature, similar body structure to survive in the condition? No. These two have different structures in order to adapt themselves to the surrounding. Now, the sea and the desert are very different surroundings. We find very different kind of plants and animals in these two regions, isn't it? We find camels, some type of rats, cactus in desert region. We find varieties of fishes, whales, dolphins, different types of plants in the sea. Let us look at two different kind of organisms from the desert and the sea, that is a camel and fish. Okay, this is a camel. Now carefully observe the body features of a camel. It has a long leg with a thick skin. What is the uses of these for a camel? The body structure a camel helps it to survive in desert conditions. How? Camel has long leg which help to keep their bodies away from heat from the sand. They excrete small amount of urine. Their dung is dry and they do not sweat. ಸಗಣಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ, ಸಗಣಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡ್ರೈ ಇರುತ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಅಂಟಿಸಬಹುದು, ಅಷ್ಟು ಡ್ರೈ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. These are main adaptations of a camel. They excrete little amount of water from their body. Since camel lose very little water from their bodies, they can live for many days without water. Can we live like this? No, it's difficult, no? What about fish? Look at the structure of a fish. Is the fish similar to the camel? No. It has different features. Now, let us come to know what are the different features of fishes which live in water. There are so many kinds of fish, but do you see that they all have something common about the shape? Yes, they have a streamlined shape, streamlined body like this, a boat-shaped body. This shape helps them to move inside the water. Fish have flat fins and tails that help them to change directions and keep their body balanced in water. Fish have slippery scales on their bodies. Have you ever tried to catch a fish? You can't catch a fish easily because it is slippery. ಜಾರುತ್ತೆ ಮೀನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಹೋದರೆ. ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? These scales protect the fish and also help in easy movement through water. Gills present in the fish help them to use oxygen dissolved in water. See the characteristics of fishes compared to camel. So, we see the features of fish help it to live inside the water, and the features of a camel help it to survive in a desert. So, we see two different climatic conditions. We have taken only two examples from a very wide varieties of animals and plants that live on the earth, the adaptations of animals in different climatic conditions. So, in all the varieties of organisms, we find that they have certain features that help them to live in the surrounding in which they are normally found. Then what is adaptation? The presence of specific features or certain habits which enable an organism to live naturally in place is called adaptation. Adaptations of organisms differ depending on their place of dwelling. ಅವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತವೋ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವಳ ಒಂದು ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಅನ್ನೋದೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. That is why a fish cannot live out of water and a camel cannot live in sea. Is that it, student? Then what is habitat? ಆವಾಸಸ್ಥಾನ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? See here. You see, it is a pond where we find different types of plants are going there. And also different types of animals are there inside the pond. What is habitat then? The place where organisms live is called habitat. Habitat means a dwelling place or a home, we say. The habitat provides food, water, air, shelter and other needs to organisms. Several kinds of plants and animals live in the same habitat. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡುಬರಬಹುದು. We have different types of habitats. Let us say number one is the terrestrial habitat. Terrestrial means what? The land. See, elephants are grazing on a land. This is a terrestrial habitat. Then what is terrestrial habitat? The plants and animals that live on land are said to live in terrestrial habitats. I told you no. Animals and plants which are living on a land are called terrestrial habitat. So examples are forest, grassland, desert, coastal and mountain regions. These are the example for terrestrial habitats. Next, aquatic habitats. What is aqua? Aqua means water. See, it's a pond. You find a beautiful lotus are growing in this pond. This is aquatic habitat. That means the habitats of plants and animals that live in water are called aquatic habitats. Lakes, rivers, oceans are some example for aquatic habitats. Okay, students? There are large varieties of among terrestrial habitats like forest, grassland, desert, coastal and mountain regions located in different parts of the world. So, no, all the places have similar characteristics. They have vary in their nature. See here is aquatic habitats where we find varieties of fishes, dolphins, whales, sharks and also plants. Above the water level, we find some land, that is example for terrestrial habitats where we find some different types of birds, bear and human beings. It contains both terrestrial and aquatic habitats. Students, there are two main characteristics which are responsible for living things on this earth are biotic and abiotic components. What is biotic components? The organisms, both plants and animals living in a habitat are its biotic component. ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಜೀವ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತಹ ಜೀವಿಗಳನ್ನ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಕಾಂಪೋನೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. See, this is abiotic component. Sunlight, wind, rain, water, soil. What does that mean? Are they living things? No, they are non-living things. That means the non-living things such as rocks, soil, air and water in the habitat constitute its abiotic components. Keep in mind, without abiotic components, living things cannot exist. So, both are interacting with each other. We know that some plants grow from seeds. Let us look at some abiotic factors and their effect on seeds as they grow into young plants. For this, I will conduct a simple demonstration in front of you. Dear students, you know that abiotic factors, that is heat, water, soil, etc. Now, let us discuss how these abiotic factors, their actions on these seeds. Now, I have taken here some amount of moong. One part of moong I will keep inside a water for longer time. The other part of moong, I will keep it aside just like that only. And the remaining, I will put on some plate and I will add water. After one day, I will remove the water and keep this moong as it is for one day. Okay, now I am going to remove the water. The remaining, just I will close it with a plate. I will keep this dry seed in a ice cube. Now, think which moong dal will start to germinate. Waited for one day. After keeping this, I got these germinated seeds. What this happen? See, these plates, it got only sunlight, did not get any moisture, so it can't germinate. This one, it is soaked in water, but it did not get any sunlight, so it could not germinate. This one, due to lot of water, it could not get heat for some time, so it could not germinate. Only the soaked one, which is kept for overnight, it starts to germinate. What it shows, that means it got moisture, it got air to breathe, it got warm. So, what that means? That means all the biotic factors are responsible for this germination of seeds. Students, when the seed turn out into sprout, it is said to be have germinated. By this experiment, now we realize that abiotic factors like air, water, light and heat are important for the growth of plants, isn't it? In fact, abiotic component factors are important for all living organisms. Next, adaptation. What is this? See, can you identify suddenly a snake on a sand? It's difficult, no? This is one of the tricks used by animals in order to survive where they live. You cannot identify a grasshopper in a green plant, isn't it? We find organisms exist in very cold as well as hot climate, isn't it? They can exist. How do they manage to survive? It's a question, no? How do they manage? Adaptation is a method by which organisms get well adjusted to the climate. ಹೊಂದಾಣಿಕೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ. Adaptations does not take place in a short time because the abiotic factors of a region also change very slowly. It is a long time. Those organisms which cannot adapt to those changes, they will die, and only the adapted ones survive. Organisms adapt to different abiotic factors in different ways. This results in a wide varieties of organisms in different habitats. Let us look some habitats, understood the abiotic factors and adaptations of animals in these habitats. Okay, let's have a journey to different habitats. So, welcome to a journey through different habitats. Shall we go? Okay. Now, some terrestrial habitats. See here, a fox is sleeping on a rock. Deserts is full of sand with a hot sun. We discussed the abiotic factors of a desert and adaptations in camels. No. Okay. Other animals and plants that are found in deserts, you know that there is not only a camels living in a desert, but also there are varieties of animals are there and plants also is there. Then how they adapt to that desert condition? Do they have the same kind of adaptations? Do they have? See here, a type of lizard is there, cactus plants, a tortoise, iguana, lizards, snake, a rat and meerkats. Do they have same type of body structures like camels? There are desert animals like rats and snakes which do not have long legs that a camel has. To stay away from the intense heat during the day, they stay in burrows deep in the sand. These animals come out only during the night when it is cooler. Adaptations from different animals. What are plants? Desert have different varieties of plants. How they adapt to these desert conditions? Carefully look at the structure, the stem of a plant. It's full of thorn. The stem is full of green. The leaves are very thick. So, you know that desert plants lose very little water through transpiration because there is only little amount of water available to the plants, so they lose only little amount of water. The leaves in desert plants are either absent, very small, or they are in the form of spines. This helps in reducing loss of water from the leaves through transpiration. The leaf-like structure you see in the cactus is in fact a stem. Photosynthesis in these plants usually carried out by the stems only. So, the modification of plants in desert conditions. Stem is also covered with a thick waxy layer which helps to retain water in the tissues of cacti. Wax do not allow the water go outside. Most desert plants have roots that go very deep into the soil for absorbing water. Let us see mountain region, how they are. A goat is there, mountain regions. These habitats are normally very cold and windy. Then how will be the adaptation by the animals in this condition? In some areas, snowfall may take place in winters also. There are large varieties of plants and animals living in the mountain regions. Here, see, what is that? Yak, mountain lion, mountain goat, a mountain fox. Other than this, we find varieties of animals in these mountain regions. If you live in mountain region or have visited one, you may see a large number of such trees. But have you ever noticed such trees naturally growing in other regions? What are trees? Show the pictures. See here, a deodar, oak, different varieties of trees are growing in mountain regions. What is speciality in these trees? Look at the leaves. See how these trees adapted to the conditions prevailing in their habitat. These trees are normally cone shaped and have sloping branches. The leaves of some of these trees are needle like. This helps the rainwater and snow to slide off easily. See the plants, how they adapted to these mountain regions. And also there could be trees with shapes very different from these that are also present in mountains. They may have different kind of adaptations to survive on the mountains. Students, animals living in mountain regions are also adapted to the conditions there. For example, they have thick skin or fur to protect them from cold. Example, snow leopard has thick fur on its body, including feet and toes. So what is the use of this to the leopard? This protects its feet from the cold when it walks on the snow. The mountain goat has strong hooves for running up the rocky slopes of the mountains. Yaks have long hair to keep them warm. See the yak. As we go up in the mountain regions, the surroundings change and we see different kinds of adaptations at different heights. Let us see grassland. Is a type of climatic condition, that is grassland. Lion in the grassland. I will show you the color of the grassland here. See here. Now look at the color of a grass during the dry condition. Look at the picture of lion. Look at the hair on the lion. Do you find similarities between in the color of these two? Yes. A lion lives in a forest or a grassland and is a strong animal that can hunt and kill animals like deer. It is light brown in color. How are the eyes placed in the face of these two animals? Are they in front or on the other side of the faces? Lion has different structure of eyes while deer has different. Lion has long claws in their front legs that can be withdrawn inside the toes. Do the features of lion help it in any way to survive on the grassland? No, God's answer that its light brown color help it to hide in dry grassland when it hunts for a prey. So prey cannot be found easily. The lion is there, the grass. The eyes in front of the face allow it to have a correct idea about the location of its prey. What about deer? Deer has to survive now. So a deer is another animal that lives in forest and grassland. It has strong teeth for chewing hard plant stem of the forest. A deer needs to know about the presence of predators like lion, cheetah. So in order to run away from them and not become their prey. So they run very fast. It has long ear to hear movement of predators. The eyes on the side of its head allow it to look in all directions for danger. We help to look in all directions for danger. The speed of deer helps to them to run away from the predators. They run very fast, the deers. There are many features of a lion, a deer or other animals and plants that help them to survive in their habitat. They must adapt themselves to the surrounding for their survival. Now students, a time for assignment for you. I am going to give some questions to you, write the answer and show it to your teacher. Name some aquatic animals. Give example for animals which live in desert. What is habitat? What is terrestrial habitat? Give example. Okay students, till now we discussed a lot of things about the living creatures and also the characteristics of living organisms. I am your Srinivasa KV, Assistant Master, GHS, Kanamakalapalli, Bagepalli Talaku, Tripura District. Thank you.